Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the restrictions. So yeah, now a little bit of hibernation, I guess.
All right. Welcome to everyone on YouTube Live. Welcome to Wellness Coach. My name is Stefan Ravalli, a host here at Wellness Coach, also a meditation teacher and content creator. And I'm joined today with Pandit Dasa. We are going to talk about the mindset of success. Hello, Pandit. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right. And just a reminder to everyone that today's discussion is an interactive panel discussion, and you can use those features in the Q&A box and the chat box to interact with us and ask any question or comments you might have. And also put up your hand, and our moderator, Cody, will enable your mic, and we can talk directly to you. And just a reminder that these are only available on the app, and you'll have to download it at the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store in order to take advantage of these very powerful features, which I recommend you doing. And also a reminder that we have a very special course on the app, staying safe and healthy during these uncertain times. It's called Self-Care in Difficult Times, I believe. Sorry, I might have been getting that wrong, but it's a self-care course with some special meditations and mindfulness techniques and discussions that'll help give you some really good health and well-being tools and practices for our current pandemic-oriented climate, which we're not going to fully talk about today. We'll get some relief from it a bit, though we might touch on it if it's relevant. So, and a reminder too that connections are dodgy right now. We might glitch, we might completely freeze or get kicked off and have to sign back in again. Servers are overloaded. Everyone's doing everything online today. And so just bear with us if this occurs. And if you get knocked off the app, just sign back in. Okay, Pandit, would you like to start today with a meditation or a practice of some sort to settle us in?
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started. And thank you everybody for joining us today. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. This will just take about a minute or so just to calm us down, bring us into the present moment, because there's a lot on our mind right now. So close your eyes. And first of all, just become aware of the weight of your feet pushing down into the floor or whatever surface you're sitting on. And then feel the weight of your body pushing down into the seat or chair. Become aware of your hands and fingers. And let's begin to take a few deep breaths and breathe in such a way that you fill up your lungs completely, and try not to think about anything or worry about anything or plan anything right now. Just the breath going in and out of your nasal passages, your mouth, filling up your lungs, and exhale thoroughly and completely. Because nothing is more important than our breath. So let's just take a few more deep breaths without planning anything, without worrying about the past. Really just watch your lungs as they expand upon the inhalation. And see how that they relax when you exhale. Feel the cool breath going in through your nasal passages. And notice how the exhalation is a little bit warmer from the nasal passages. So the cool breath is going in and the warmer breath goes out. And right now, I want you to think of one thing that you're grateful for right now, whatever you're grateful for that's happening in your life, and just meditate on that for a second. Something we can do throughout the day to shift our mindset whenever we find ourselves worrying about something or an anxiety. Just think of something you're grateful for. What's happening in my life? There's so many wonderful things happening in each of our lives. We just take the time out to reflect on them for a brief moment. Bring your awareness to your eyes and slowly begin to open your eyes.
Thank you, Pandit, and hello to those of you just joining us. Good to see you again, Salman, Peter, and Julie. Look forward to your wonderful contributions to today's discussion. And it's really good to see you again, Pandit. It's been a while, and you're always so busy and off teaching and sharing your knowledge with the world. It's so good to have you back with Wellness Coach.
Yes,
And
I'm glad to be here.
yeah, this discussion is really exciting. And I want to talk first about your background, which I mean seems really well situated to be in a global pandemic situation. You must be thinking, "Oh, great, I'm a monk. I know just what to do. I can quarantine very easily." How has this? How has your sort of history as a monk played out, and how has it led to you develop these tools for success in life and work?
Well, one thing is, of course, just to clarify, I'm not a monk anymore, but like I like to say that once a monk, always monk to some degree or another. So when I was living as a monk in New York City, there was so much hustle and bustle, so much going on around us at our little monastery on the Lower East Side, and so we had to try to remain. The challenge was to remain sort of calm and cool and collected because we were right on the avenue. So you step out of the monastery and it's complete mayhem. So it's like subway stations, bus stops, and tattoo shops and nightclubs and bars. So we're walking out into that. So I think one of the things that I just learned, and not that I've completely, become an expert in it, but just being able to stay calm and cool in the middle of all that hustle and bustle, and also realizing that, life is always going to be throwing something at us, whether it's coming from Mother Nature, or it's coming from our own mind, or it's coming from some other person. There are going to be disturbances that come into our life from these three different things. One is through Mother Nature, and I guess what we could call what's happening now possibly Mother Nature, right? So nature's always going to be throwing something at us to prevent us from getting too comfortable, and also to maybe realize that, do we need to change our lifestyle? So I feel like nature, the world, the universe throws things into our life to make us reflect. Are we living the best way possible? Can we be living in a different way? Are we harming ourselves and others and the planet in the way that we're living? So I think nature sort of throws something into our life to make us reflect on things, which we sometimes don't even think about. We just kind of move through life like everything is fine. This is how it's meant to be. And if it's not nature, it's another person could be causing us some pain and difficulty or challenges. And I guess the virus can be seen as another person. It's entered our life, and hopefully it won't enter our life too deeply. And then, of course, the ultimate source of challenges for us, I feel, is our own mind, more than nature and more than others. Because if our mind is controlled, then we can deal with all the other challenges and unpredictable situations of life. But if our mind is not controlled, even the smallest things can really throw us off track. So that's one thing that I sort of learned as a monk, and sort of really try to remember and remind myself all the time, that just as the winter comes and goes and the summer comes and goes, things come and go. Everything is cyclical. Nothing is going to last forever. So whatever's coming through my life right now, it's here to teach me something. I'm supposed to learn from it, grow from it, mature, and it will pass. Hopefully when it passes, I will have learned something from it, and I won't have just like let that incredible opportunity go by without it teaching me something about myself.
Right, which I imagine would make us quite resilient to, what outwardly might look like a challenge or a tremendous disturbance or even a tragedy. There's juice in there, and I imagine extracting that juice has to do with mindset.
Yeah, I mean, everything in life is about mindset. You know, there's nothing in life that isn't about mindset, because we can have the biggest challenge in our life. And if we have the right mindset, it's not that the pain that it causes us is going to necessarily diminish. We'll still go through the pains, we'll still go through the challenges, maybe some sleepless nights, a lot of anxiety. But the fact that we can keep reminding ourselves that this is happening for a reason. This is happening for my own good. It's happening for my growth and development. The fact that if we can just keep reminding ourselves of that simple fact while we're going through it, will help us grow. Otherwise, we won't even be looking for the opportunities within that difficult moment to grow, we'll just treat it as like an obstacle, as an enemy, as a misery, or why is this happening to me? Or it's happening to me because of that person and that person and that person. So we could go on that cycle, which is the negative mindset, which leads to no growth. It leads to the opposite, actually. Or the opposite, like, okay, yes, these people are really making my life difficult, but what am I supposed to learn from this? How do I grow from this? How do I not let them make my life miserable? Is it completely in their hand, or is it in my hand too? So yeah, I think that it is 100% mindset. Without the right mindset, we are going to experience 10 times more anxiety in our life than we're meant to, actually.
All right, so we've talked about a mindset to have success, but let's go back a bit and maybe define success. What is your definition of it, Pandit? And we have a question in the Q&A box, which can add to that. What's the difference between success and achievement and accomplishment?
Oh, well, that one I have to think about a little bit more. So definition of success, and I think that different people are probably going to define success in different ways. Okay, for example, before I was a monk, right, I grew up in LA. My parents at one point had a very successful business. If you would ask me what success was at that time, I would have said basically two or three things: money and popularity. And I think those are the first two things that would have come to my mind if you would have asked me, how do you define success? But over the years, of course, as I jumped into the monastery for that decade and a half, I've started to define success differently. And it's going back to what we talked about already. Success is, for me, it's, first of all, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to get out of life? What is your ultimate goal in life? And the time in the monastery sort of shaped that vision for me. And I realized what I wanted out of life was that before I die, before I leave this world, I want to be a kinder, more compassionate, more patient, more forgiving human being. Like, that became sort of like the goal of my life. And so the way I define success, and it's not that when I say this that I'm just sitting and meditating and hoping to become kinder and compassionate. No, I'm still running my own business. I'm interacting. Yes, I'm trying to earn a living. I'm doing a lot of the things that a lot of people do. But at the end of the day, I do, take inventory and ask myself, whatever came in my, whatever success came to me, whether that's maybe I made more money or whatever happened, more opportunities, I try to analyze it. Has this gotten to my head? Am I making myself think that now I'm better than others because I made more money than these other people? So, or has this made me a kinder human being? Has it made me more arrogant, more proud, making myself better than others? Now am I judging others and, putting myself on a pedestal? Are all these things happening in my mindset as I'm going through my life and trying to achieve success? Because for me, that wouldn't be success. Even if I achieve all the financial goals I want, if I haven't learned to become kinder and more thoughtful and compassionate, I feel like I didn't really succeed. For me, that would be, equal to failure, because for me, my goal of life is to become a better human being. And that's not an easy thing to do. That's something that requires so much work. But for me, that's how I would define success, now, as opposed to before. I would have said, yeah, money, popularity, and a really cool car and a nice big house with a swimming pool. Right?
Yeah, and you were talking about like things always changing. There's an ever-changing flow to everything, and also I think what we need to be available to is our definitions of things changing. And at one point in your life, pre-monk Pandit Dasa, this was your definition, and then you had to be available to that definition getting shifted. So I guess there's a certain adaptation required, but I'm wondering what's like, success is a different thing for everybody. We discover what we can call success later on, but is there like a fundamental feeling success creates, or a fundamental way to define success that is more like a universal experience?
Possibly. I think that Again, it all depends on the paradigm people have chosen for their life. For some people, a success might be getting 1,000 likes on their post, and they're convinced that this was success. And to some degree, that could be. For me, if I got 1,000 likes on a post, I'd definitely be very happy. But then I would want to analyze, did my post actually help people? Did it help people, or was it just like a cool photo of me and no message, check out my new whatever. So for me, I would always analyze, and I think people have live with different paradigms, and I really hope to change people's paradigms as well to some degree or another. And I don't know if I have the power to do that, but I would love to try, is to really ask ourselves, whatever success we've had, has it benefited someone else as well? Through my success, has someone else benefited? Has someone learned something new, something positive through which they can become a better human being? And for me, that is success when someone else has also been benefited. So I think that, those are the different ways I would treat success.
All right. Tariku's got his hand up. I believe you originally posted the question of the difference between success and accomplishment. So hopefully Pandit's mustered up a possible response here. But our moderator, Cody, is going to enable your mic now, and you can speak with us. All right. You can just unmute yourself, Tariku, and we can then be able to converse over our mics. Just hit unmute.
Okay, are you hearing?
Yes, we can hear you, Tariku.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know the difference between accomplishment, achievements, and success.
Okay, so I think we've already talked about success quite a bit, and you have to look at your own definition of success. For me, the definition of success is growth, right? Have I become the kind of person I want to be, which is kinder, compassionate, mindful, all of those things. So for me, that's how I'm defining success. I think that achievement, and what else did you say? Achievement, success, and?
Accomplishment was the other one, as I recall.
Okay. So I think there is a lot of similarities between these things. Achievement could also be like, okay, I achieved, a certain growth in my career, right? So that's great. You achieved a certain amount of financial success, that you wanted a certain amount of money in the bank, you finally gotten there. So I think achievement and accomplishment are very similar, that it can be more related to material goals and aspirations that we've set for ourselves, and achieving that, like, checked it off, okay, great. Whereas success, when we're talking about forgiveness or kindness or compassion, it's hard to just check off, yep, kindness, done. Because I think there's infinite levels of kindness that we can actually aspire for. So I don't know if we can ever fully check that box, because whenever you achieve one level of kindness, if you really honestly look deep within yourself, there's another level to be achieved. And then when you get there, there's another level to be achieved. Same thing with forgiveness. There's many levels of forgiveness. Someone bumps you while you're walking down the street, it's maybe not so hard to forgive them. Someone punches you in the stomach while you're walking down the street, a little harder to forgive. If someone punches you in the stomach and takes your wallet and your phone, maybe a little harder to forgive. I'm giving all these violent examples. It's a Monday, what to do? So my point is, all of the things that I'm talking about, internal success, dealing with growth, they have different levels. And each time you achieve a certain level, there's another level to be achieved and to aspire for. So I would like to say, like, achievement and accomplishment, maybe more towards a specific material goal, and success on a deeper level is again related to growth.
Yeah, and from my experience, feeling arrival points at anything is challenging with stuff like kindness, because there's constant invitations to kindness and constant opportunities for failure, quote unquote, ones that I'm always failing at too. It's like, oh, I think I've got it. I think I'm a kind person in this situation. And then throw me a new curveball and wow, looks like I've got some blockages there.
Yeah.
And so there's always these tests happening for me.
For all of us.
Yeah.
They're happening for all of us all the time. The moment we start feeling good about ourselves, like, oh yeah, I did it, I'm like a nicer person, immediately the universe sends you a situation or a person that shows you you're not as nice as you think you are.
Absolutely. And I see some new faces rolling in. Welcome, guys. Definitely let us know any questions you might have. I'm curious what success means to you. Leave that in the chat box and the Q&A box. We'd love to hear from you. And I guess we've talked a lot about success and about mindset. And we're here in a success discussion. I guarantee people want to know how to do it. I definitely always do. So how do we cultivate this mindset? How do we make ourselves ready for all of these challenges that are going to come?
Well, I don't know if it's always possible to be ready for all of the challenges that will come. And that is where the real test lies, is that things are going to show up that we're not expecting, like what's happening to us in the world right now. It's the first time something like this has happened worldwide. I don't think any of us were ready for this. I don't know if any of us were expecting this. So I think one thing is to the mindset to have again is to be able to accept that, yes, this is happening. And I think these kinds of situations also bring out our maybe some of our lower human qualities, and sometimes maybe our higher ones, like selfishness. The sort of the whole hoarding mentality, all for me. Like, I got to make sure I'm good and taken care of for the next 1 year, just in case, right? So I think that the mindset is that whenever something is happening, really looking honestly at ourselves, what lower qualities of mind are showing up right now, and to be able to deal with them, because usually it's those difficult and problematic situations that bring up our lower nature. And so we can actually, and I know it may sound strange, but welcome these really challenging times, because they reveal to us our lower nature. And unless they reveal them to us, we won't want to improve upon them. And a lot of people won't even bother with this message. We'll be like, yeah, whatever, I'm getting as much toilet paper as I possibly can. I don't care, right? So I think that the mindset is, to prepare for that mindset, like, hey, once this one goes, another one's around the corner. What did I learn from this one? What did I learn about my nature now that I need to improve upon, so I don't act the same way when the next one shows up? Because the next one is around the corner. Well, we don't know what that is. We really don't know. So I think just really embracing it and making sure that we take those important notes of what I behaved like, and what kind of selfishness sort of manifested from my own being during these times, and how can I do better, behave better, be more selfless during the next one, or even while this one's happening, and not to wait for this one to go, but like tomorrow or later today, what can I do that's a little bit more selfless, right? And I think that's the kind of the mindset that can help us deal with these things.
Yeah, and when the pressure's on and we need to make decisions, what do we do when lower nature pops up and it's possibly guiding us in a direction that's not going to serve us or throw us out of harmony with life and what's happening? What do we do when we say, hello, lower nature? Shall we beat it off with a stick and get rid of our lower nature? Is there a way of honoring it properly? What practices and habits can we use when we're just suddenly faced with something and we have to make a decision?
I think the first thing is honesty. Acknowledge, because a lot of times we ignore our lower nature and just sort of let it happen, and don't take the time to acknowledge that, oh my gosh, I saw this elderly person in the supermarket. They were waiting to get some toilet paper, and I grabbed it and put it in my cart and went. Right? So at least maybe acknowledging that, oh, what did I do? I can't believe I did that. And at least sitting with it. And there's a discomfort in knowing that we did something like that. Sitting with that discomfort, acknowledging it, because unless we sit with it and acknowledge it, we're not going to change the behavior. And of course, if you're still in the supermarket saying, you know what, hey, would you like some of this? I realized I took it all. So in that moment, if we can correct it, great. If not, at least the next time. But first, that acknowledgement has to happen. And we have to be able to sit with the discomfort of knowing that we actually were capable of something like that. And if we don't acknowledge it in that moment, because you can't just beat it away, beat it off, but just acknowledging it, that's the first step in, because that creates recognition and self-awareness of who I am, what kind of tendencies I have. And when we can acknowledge those tendencies, that's when we can actually work on improving them.
All right. Wow, we're at 25 minutes already. How time flies. Such a rich topic. We've got one more question here that I'll get to, and then we'll send everyone off. But if you need to go, definitely you can be on your way since we're past the scheduled 20 minutes today. Tariku wants some advice for exam readiness. We were talking about life testing you. And what if, an actual school is testing you? What's the best mindset tools and practices for addressing being tested such a high pressure situation?
So like a school or any other test, I think there's a two-part approach. One is obviously you prepare as much as possible and in a healthy way also. That means getting good sleep, eating the right food, because all that affects your mind and your memory. If you're not sleeping well before the exam, or even when you're preparing, making sure getting your body's rested. If it's not rested, your machine's not going to work properly. Making sure you're eating good, healthy, light food, not like super heavy, deep fried foods, and now you're going to try to open up the book and try to study. It's not going to happen. It's going to affect your ability to take tests. So, getting good night's sleep, eating healthy, doing some exercise, preparing as much as you can. And then finally, this is some things that I learned as a monk, is that at the end of it, you've done everything you can. Just be ready to accept the result. Whatever happens, you did everything you could. Doesn't mean that we're lazy about it. We do everything we can. And if you don't get the result that you were hoping for, being okay with that. Not beating yourself up, endlessly, making yourself feel needlessly guilty, and just causing yourself all kinds of stress and anxiety, because all of that is not changing your score magically. Otherwise, I'd say go for it, right? So having the mindset that I've done everything I possibly can, and now I'm going to accept the results that come in a healthy way, which means if I didn't get the result that I wanted, the next time I just have to prepare harder. And if I did get the result that I wanted, or if I did better than that, then I'm going to be happy. You can celebrate, and also just feel grateful that it did happen. That's it. Just feel grateful. So those are my suggestions on dealing with any kind of test.
Yeah, and Tariku is elaborating on his question, and it brings up an interesting point about sort of acceptance. And maybe people fear that, when you're accepting, you might end up lowering your standards or aiming lower. And he kind of poses a very test-like problem here. Actually, he says, let's say one person wants to pass, the other one wants to get let's say 15 out of 20. I think that's 75%, and the next person wants to score 100%, be perfect. The first two get what they want. The first one passes, second one gets 75%. They do okay according to their standards. And the third one gets only 18 out of 20, but they wanted to do perfectly. Who's the most successful? And who has failed here?
Well, I think the one who is most successful is the one who is most at peace with themselves after the result. And the one who is at peace and is happy with what they did. So if the person who got 18 out of 20, it's so great that score. But if you're not peaceful and happy within, if you're just cursing and angry, I don't know how successful that is. So the persons who are at peace and able to smile at the end of the day, I think they're the ones that are most successful, as opposed to just because what's all that other stuff going to accomplish? That was the result. You got 18 out of 20. Nothing's changing about that. You have two choices. Be happy with it or be unhappy. Happy makes your mind and heart healthy. Unhappy makes your heart and mind unhealthy. You can choose which one you would like. The choice is ours.
Yeah, and Tariku mentioned that it is all about, relativity and perspective, and says this can easily change by how much you compare yourself with others. And I'm certain that comparison must have a role in contaminating the success mindset.
Yeah, for sure. The more a sure way of being sad and depressed is to compare ourselves with others. We can look to others for motivation and inspiration, and that's totally fine. I look at other speakers and coaches and see what they're doing and how they're doing it. What can I learn? But when myself, or if anyone compares themselves, oh my gosh, they got so many likes, I didn't. That's just going to lead us into depression and make us sad and more miserable. And social media can definitely facilitate that kind of thing because you're looking at everyone's stuff all the time. So yeah, I think that try your best and accept your results, and then try it a little bit more next time. And then this way, you just be peaceful. I think ultimately we want to be peaceful, and that's our goal of life, is to be peaceful and happy. Doesn't mean we don't work hard. We can do that, but if we can be peaceful and happy while working hard, I think that's really, one sense, success right there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for all of your involvement today. And thank you, Pandit, for a wonderful return and a wonderful angle on the success mindset topic. So I'll pass things over to you now if you'd like to close things off in any way you see fit to send us off into the world.
Okay, yes. I'd like to close with a very short mindfulness practice. So let's go ahead once again and just close our eyes, sit comfortably, and take 2 deep breaths. And again, really deep breaths, straightening your back, filling up your lungs, and exhale. And now I want you to think of one quality that you would like to develop within yourself that you feel will make you a better human being, and that will make you feel better about yourself. Maybe it's one of the things we talked about: kindness, compassion, being more honest with oneself. Think of one quality you'd like to develop and visualize yourself developing that quality, and just see how you feel. Visualize how you feel when you develop that quality. And I want you to remember that quality, and remember the feeling associated with developing that quality, and keep that in the forefront of your mind as you move throughout your day. Take another deep breath in and slowly open your eyes. And I wish you all a very successful week and month and year and life. Namaste.